Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I have Joe with me this evening. I've not really had a chance to check in with Joe and chat with Joe regarding the current state of play with Leeds United. The title says, "Don't panic, Leeds fans. Top two is still within reach." There is a lot of panic. There is a lot of worry amongst the fan base, but, you know, for me, I'm still okay. I'm still confident that we can do that. Thank you very much, Dawn, who says, "What a pair of handsome chaps." There we go. I know you had the pleasure of meeting Dawn as well, didn't you, in person? Yeah,
I did. I had a lovely cup of coffee and spent a couple of hours with Dawn when she was over in Dublin. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Dawn sound.
Yeah, she is. She's great. But listen, Joe, we'll get straight stuck into it. Well, we're here. There's not even really much of I don't have a plan for this. It's more a case of a check-in and see where we're at. Obviously, Leeds United, 38 games now, so there's just 8 games left. Not in great form, because obviously it's 1 win in 4. Rescued a point at the weekend, but some would say maybe, I don't know what your opinion is, but like, obviously there's still time to go and win that game. So where's your current head at, and then we'll get into some specifics.
It's interesting, Joe, because we've obviously been talking just before we came on, and almost not that long ago. At the beginning of the season, I got quite a lot of shit for saying Leeds weren't the best team in the league when they were sitting third in the table after 14 games. And now Leeds are sitting top of the league and everyone's telling us Leeds aren't great. So I'm really confused as to what league tables mean anymore, because I could have sworn if you're the top team in the league, you're the best team in the division. And right now, Leeds are top of the table still. And I think the whole point of building up a gap is for when you have those bad periods of a season, which everyone inevitably has throughout the season. If you look at the top 3 sides who are all chasing that number 1 spot in the last 5 games, Burnley probably the best current run and have figured out how to score goals to everybody else's detriment. But outside of that, Sheffield United in the last 5 games have a loss and a draw. Leeds in their last 5 games have a loss and 2 draws. Burnley in their last 5 games have a draw. So everyone's dropping points here and there. There's 8 games left, which is 24 points, left to play for. So an awful lot can change in that time. Coventry City have to play both these sides outside of us. They have to play each other as well. We're hopefully done with London. I haven't looked at the full schedule, but I think we're done with trips to London, because
Luton, but that's not really London, is it? So it doesn't count.
Well, let's say that then, because 1 win in 11 in London, 24 defeats in 32 trips to London. So that's the worry. Leeds away record this season has always been our wobbly one comparative to the other 2. We've the 3rd best away record in the division. That speaks volumes for Leeds away performances versus them. But as we are right now, we had a 5-point gap twice, and now it's 2 points to Burnley. And I don't really care about the top 2 right now. It's the 3rd place is the one that I'm looking at. Just get automatics, and then we'll punch it out for the title. But I'm watching an awful lot of Sheffield United, and their luck has to run out at some point, because they haven't been good against Sheffield Wednesday. The goal they scored was abysmal defending by Sheffield Wednesday. Shocking by the fullback to let him get around the outside, and then terrible by the goalkeeper to not get 2 hands on the ball. So they're finding ways to win, but at some point that luck is going to run out, you would imagine. I know we said last year Sunderland would fall off and they didn't. Ipswich would fall away and they didn't. But I still think there's an awful lot of football to play for. I normally don't like the international break in March because it worries me. I'm very worried about Junior Firpo going off to play 2 incredibly... So there's a lag on this, isn't there? Sorry, someone's saying something to do with a lag. Possibly a lag on this.
There is, mate. Just with your mouth. That's all. We can still hear you. It's fine.
Oh, okay. My laptop's acting up today. But yeah, normally I'd be worried about the international break, because Firpo's gone off to play 2 incredibly unnecessary friendlies against the exact same side, Puerto Rico, for no reason. And he's traveling, so you hope he comes back okay. But this break might actually help Leeds in a funny way, because it might give us a chance to regroup, settle down, calm, have a couple of weeks without a game. And it might interrupt the momentum of someone like Burnley and Sheffield United, knock them off their rhythm a little bit, like it did to us last year. So there's an awful lot of stuff to play for. But look, the PTSD is real. It's there. It's been there for a very long time. And there's a section of our fan base who will always lean into the negative. No matter what happens, they'll find something to be negative about. And then there's the other side of the fan base who are the happy clappers, who will always find something positive to be at. And then there's a middle bit, a small, tiny group of us sitting in the middle of it. And I think right now, automatics are still on. Until they're not on, it's still a chance for Leeds to get promoted. And I think we're still on course to get promoted. So, all right, look, we've had a bad run of form. That was going to happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if we remember, like this time last season, there was, similar sort of drop off from all sides. If you remember, Leicester had, lost, I think, a 17-point gap, wasn't it, at the time? This is what happens at the business end of the season. And, I think I don't know if we were second this time around, and we saw the fall off there. But, at the end of the day, we're top.
We topped this time last
Yeah,
year.
we top, aren't we? So,
we were top this time last year as well, and we finished topped out. Yeah, so
okay.
We're 2 points behind where we were this time last year. Joe, I'm going to drop out and reset this. Give me 2 seconds, right?
No worries. I will talk to the chat while I do that. I'm just going to drop Jer out there. Be interested to get Jer's take on this, because I don't think it's as simple as just dropping Aaronson. I know the general consensus seems to be the case, but I do think we undervalue what he does tactically, off the ball, etc. And whether or not Gnonto can start and play 90 minutes in the 10, we'll have to wait and see. Do I think he deserves the opportunity? Yes, I do. Joe, you were telling us how bad QPR are. I don't remember saying that, Mayor, because if you remember rightly, I actually predicted a draw. I actually said that Leeds United hadn't won there since 2017. We had lost, like Joe just mentioned earlier, we'd won 3 games in 31 at the time. It's now 3 games in 32 in London. Like I said, the last 4 times they'd beaten us were all to nil. We hadn't scored at Loftus Road. So I don't think I ever said that, Mayor, because I predicted a draw before kickoff. So I don't know if you can find me saying that, then I'll have a conversation with you. But I don't think we did. Big up to my main man, Don Hassan, big Liverpool fan and top content creator, says, please don't bottle this championship. I want Liverpool. That's Prem champs. Listen, when you win the league, we win the league. It's happening, Don. Right. Big up, though.
Hello again.
Yeah, Jer, you're back. Let's have a look. Speak. Let's see if you're in.
I wanted to say one thing about the QPR draw.
Go on.
The context of Leeds' record in London, plus the fact that you're 2-0 down after 30 minutes, I think a 2-2 draw, considering what happened there last year, is probably a slight improvement.
Yeah, I said that.
And as Daniel Farke keeps saying, win a home, draw away, 2 points per game. So we're still on for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. What do you make? I put a lot of weight behind what Farke said, and where he said, if we win our 5 home games, we'll get top 2. Obviously, we've won one of them, so there's 4 more left. If you can just pick up points away from home, like we did at the weekend, of course, maybe we should be beating them, I get it. But, if we can win our next 4 home games and pick up the odd point here and there away, do you subscribe to that thought process of Farke's that it gets us top 2?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he said, if we stick with the 2 points per game, we'll finish on 96 points, which, 90 points should have been enough last year, but we're chasing a 96-point trophy this year, but it should, it'd be very easy to get 96 points and not get promoted, because no team has ever hit 96 points and not been promoted automatically. So that's a definitive stat. But I see people saying Burnley will finish first, won't lose a game. A week and a half ago, everyone was saying Leeds wouldn't lose a game between now. 2 weeks ago, Leeds wouldn't lose a game between now and the end of the season. Teams lose games. Form is temporary. It comes and goes. It takes one hiccup in every game, and all of a sudden, the cats are amongst the pigeons, and people are panicking at other clubs as well. So, yeah, we just need to hold our nerve, and that's a big part. Let's hope the players can hold their nerve more than the fan base can hold its nerve right now, because the panic is there, and I don't think it's necessarily necessary right now, because there is still plenty of time. There's 24 points to play for still.
I think as well, Joe, my thing is, if we lose at home, if we lose one of the games at home, I'll genuinely start to panic.
Yeah.
But we come back, we play Swansea. I don't know if you watched them against Burnley at the weekend, but defensively, they're not great. I do think we'll beat Swansea at home. And then it has a totally different feel, because like you've mentioned, Sheffield United play Coventry on the Friday, and Burnley have got to play Bristol City. And then the week after, Burnley then have to play Coventry. And we've seen what Coventry did to Sunderland. They wiped them 3-0 at the weekend. So that's not going to be a foregone conclusion on that Friday night, is it? So again, it could have another twist and turn by the time we come back. So can I speak to you about the Aaronson and Gnonto thing? Because obviously there's been a certain section of the fan base, maybe the majority of the fan base, I'm not digging anyone out for this, but there's been a lot of people saying get either Ramazani or Gnonto in the 10, and has been for a while. Aaronson didn't have a great game. He gets brought out. Gnonto comes in for 45, impacts the game to a sufficient level, creates one of the goals, you could argue. What do you do? Because there are some now that's saying it's as simple as dropping Aaronson for these 8 games and we'll go up fine. Do you agree with that? Where's your head at with it?
I've been saying for a while, I like what Brendan Aaronson does for Leeds in general. He's not a creative number 10. He never has been a creative number 10. And Daniel, as Lockie has pointed out in his breakdown this week, Daniel Farke's teams don't tend to overly play with a creative number 10. They tend to play with creative wide men, which is where the goals come from. And that's what Leeds have done this year as well. The goals and the creativity has come from the wide areas. I think the issue of Aaronson is legs. I think if we go back to the Premier League season, he was in phenomenal form for Leeds in the first half of the season. Jurgen Klopp was even talking about trying to sign him at one point, and then all of a sudden the second half came and the dip came. We flogged him in the Premier League season, and we're flogging him again this season. He's played way too many minutes for a player. Himself and Ilan Melia had the most amount of minutes outside of Joe Rodon up to a couple of weeks ago, and it's starting to impact him. Leeds need a second option in that area. I've been saying it all season. I think Willie Gnonto is tailor-made to play as a number 10. And I'll back that up with some reasons as well, rather than just spouting it. Gnonto's low centre of gravity. He's got fantastic close control. He's a very good passer of the ball. He can find gaps in between people. He's naturally a creative player. And he can strike a ball with left or right foot with power from distance. So if you're up against a low block or a mid block, someone like Gnonto is the kind of player you're looking at who can just find a half a yard and get a strike away and goal with enough power to cause someone problems. I think he does that. Tanaka is another player that can do that as well, but I think you want to keep him in the middle. So you go with Gnonto on the 10. He was bought by Leeds as a central player. Let's not forget when we brought him in, he was a number 9, and we've played him as a winger for the last 3 years. But he was brought in as a number 9. He was the Cody Gakpo, Bamba Dieng replacement. Then when those two fell off the cliff, so I think it's natural that he comes back into the middle eventually with Leeds. And I think some stuff that he does very well. He finds wingers really, really well. He likes to go out and double up with the wingers. And I think Leeds have had a real problem in the recent weeks of the overlapping seems to have stopped. I mean, all of a sudden, when I see the left-hand side, Junior Firpo's bombing up on the inside of Manor Solomon heading into the box, and then Solomon is standing in front of 2 players every time he gets the ball because there's no overlap from Firpo to take one away or distract him. And I think what Gnonto does there is he comes over, fills that gap quite nicely, and helps to link the play and double up on fullback. So I think there's merit in him being in there. Whether he can do the number 10 sufficiently for a longer period of time, it's only a 30-minute cameo or 35-minute cameo. But I think there's probably something in that Farke needs to look at. I don't think you can keep flogging Brendan in that position and expect to get performances and contributions from him because he looks knackered. Every time I see him play, he looks knackered.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of him playing far too much football. And I think that's something that the majority of the fan base have had concerns over for quite some time. I think he's guilty of doing it a little bit with James lately as well. James is still impacting games, but nowhere near he was, say, a month ago.
Man mark now, Joe. A real shift in oppositions against him now all of a sudden, especially the last 3 games. The fullbacks, I picked out who was it playing for Millwall? The left back from Millwall just didn't go forward. Yeah, Joe Bryan didn't go forward for the entire game. Didn't cross the halfway line. He stood beside Dan James, and wherever James went, he went with him. And then Leeds weren't finding the space for him to get in behind. They weren't moving the ball quick enough to get in behind. So teams are figuring things out. They're trying different stuff. We're not seeing low blocks anymore, but we are seeing certain players being man-marked, and Leeds need to find solutions for that.
Yeah. I'm not as confident as you in terms of his tailor-made for the 10, but like I say, I'm very much like, if it gets us up, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, Melia can play in there. It's just about Leeds United winning games. Firpo, yeah, I mean, Firpo
plays there for the Dominican Republic, so why not?
He plays everywhere, doesn't he? Like, he was the furthest man forward at one point in the 9, man, at the week.
Usually is.
Weekend. He's mad, but yeah, I love him. Yeah, you can have that luxury in the Championship, I guess. We don't have that luxury in the Prem, do we? We can't be expecting him to do that. What did you make to? It seems to me that if, let's say, when we come back, we do see Gnonto in the 10. It sounds like, based on what Farke's saying, that we'll probably see Gruev in midfield alongside Tanaka. I got that vibe because he said, look, I was umming and ahhing whether to start him, but then I went with Rothwell over Gruev because if I start Gnonto, and then Rothwell, there's no sort of like defensive structure as much as you would have as if you played Aaronson, and that's what he opted for.
Well, then play Rothwell in the 10 is what I would suggest then, because he can drop into the middle and help out there as well, and he can also shoot and push on and create chances. So it's we get, trying to say this the right way, we get carried away with certain things at times, and I'm guilty of this as well. I get carried away with Joe Rodon all the time, and then I watch him lose his marker against QPR and give Cook a free header to score from. But I get carried away with Joe Rothwell as well. I think he's a fantastic player. I enjoy watching him playing for Leeds. But there was a reason Daniel Farke,
the weekend though, was he? He wasn't great.
Which is what I'm coming to. Yeah, there was a reason why Daniel Farke a couple of months ago went back to Ilya Groove in the middle of the park with Tanaka for away games, because Leeds were conceding in every single away game, and we're conceding early usually and having a mountain to climb in every single away game. He put Gruev in beside Tanaka, and all of a sudden that stopped. Leeds weren't conceding goals away from home. And then we all got a little bit carried away with Rothwell last week, and like, oh, it has to start every single game now. And Farke said it himself, I got a bit greedy. And he put that in there. I didn't see the game live. I was out for the day on Saturday. Thank Christ for that one. But I saw the goal go in straight away, and the first thing that went into my head is, this is what happens when you don't play Gruev away from home. People don't see what Gruev does off the ball. People think that he's not a progressive passer. He's like, that's not his job. His job is to stop passing lanes and cover and win tackles, and he does that really well for me. So Farke's system away from home should be Tanaka and Gruev, and at home, Tanaka and Rothwell. It was working fine. Our run was with those two pairings. Let's not reinvent the wheel. That should be exactly what it sticks with, because we need that additional defensive cover away from home.
And it might even be a case then, with that in mind, of he's happy to go with. See, that's the thing though. So if he does go with Gruev away, based on what he's saying, and I may be wrong, does that mean then that Gnonto would play in the 10 away? Because I just don't see, I do not see a situation, and I know people will want it, where he plays Rothwell, Tanaka and Gnonto for starting the game, because I feel he'll look at it and say, there is not enough control and defensive structure for me to then be able to dominate the ball if you played Gnonto, Rothwell and Tanaka, because then there's no Aaronson running here, there and everywhere, pressing, keeping Leeds ticking over. There's no Gruev there either. So I just feel that from Farke's point of view, will probably be too open and will give too many chances up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think if you go with those three in the middle of the park, with how high Leeds fullbacks play up, you're going to be ripped apart on the counter-attack by most teams, because there's going to be so much space to play into. There's no one that's going to cover. Seeing people saying they don't rate Ilya Gruev. Well, I always notice Ilya Gruev when he's not in the team, you know? And I know it's a Paul Heckenbottom one. I always used to get pissed off when Heckenbottom would get the piss taken out of him over with ball, without ball, because it just shows the lack of understanding of the game when people don't think there's a without ball part of the game, which there is. And that's where Ilya Gruev is at his best. If you look at how many times the ball goes through the centre of the park when Gruev is in the pitch, rarely ever happens. It's always around the outside, which means he's doing his job and stopping them coming through the middle. When he's not in there, they come straight through the middle of us, you know, and that's where the issues are. So for me, people might not rate Ilya Gruev, but he's very effective when he's in there for Leeds. And defensively away from home, Leeds have not conceded when he's been in that team. It's only when
Dortmund wanted him in the summer. Let's not forget this fact that Dortmund acquired about Gruev.
It depends on what midfielder you want. If you're looking for Ilya Gruev to rock up on the edge of the box and score a goal, not going to happen. Not his game. If you're looking for Ilya Gruev to be the progressive passer on the team, not his game. Not what he's there for. He is there to be the number 6, to sit in the middle, block passing lanes, win tackles, clean up the ball, pass it 5 yards to somebody else, and let them do the job. We don't have that without him. Ampadu does it really well when he's in that team. He reads the game quite well. Yeah. He likes to be a bit more on the ball. But as an out-and-out defensive block away from home, Ilya Gruev has been effective for Leeds, and it's worked away from home. The games he hasn't been in the team, we've conceded goals. I mean, that whether you rate him or not, like the data backs up the fact that in the team we don't concede, without him we do. Now at home, it's a very different thing. I wouldn't be starting him against teams at home. I would be
we should not against Swansea.
We should be in the front four.
Yeah. I agree.
Sorry, someone there said, there's a point. Gruev kept us in the game at Bramall Lane as well. He did. He's had some fantastic games this season. And last season, we were all waxing lyrical about his impact in the middle of the park. So, you know, and people were very happy to watch Glenn Kamara pass the ball 5 yards left and right and do a little pirouette in the middle of the park for most of the year. And
I didn't want him to go, I didn't want him to go.
Yeah. And now he couldn't get into the team in Stade Rennes. He's gone to Saudi Arabia to finish his game. So we saw, I mean, there's different types of players, and we talk about profile players an awful lot. There's different profiles for different systems, for different styles of play, for different days. Leeds had it. Leeds have horses for courses. They've got a defensive midfield pairing for away games to keep them safe, which allows the fullbacks to go and be effective. And they have an attacking midfield pairing around our home when Leeds need to be on the front foot more often than they'll be defending. So for me, it was working perfectly. And I think Farke's comments about I got a bit greedy, back that up.
Yeah.
And come here, he has a whole team of statisticians and analysts looking at the game and digesting the data. And he's come out with that statement as well, which means they're telling them the data backs up the fact that we shouldn't have changed.
Yeah.
But I understand after Rotwell's really good game, how do you drop him? So that's
I agree.
Manager's job.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? And that's the conundrum that Farke said he faced on the night, right? Do you think it's so important that we get, because Ethan Ampadu hopefully will be back other side of the international break? I think it's so important that we have him back, because I feel that we do lack a lot physically when he's not playing. He's one for winding up the opponent, getting stuck into the referee when decisions aren't going our way, which I don't care what people say. I watched Sheffield United yesterday, and a lot of the decisions the referee made was based on the opponent's reaction to challenges and stuff. And it's like, we don't do that. And I know if someone's, as a ref, if you're undecided, but then if someone's going, come on, in your face, you're likely to go, okay, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just subconsciously. We don't
give the next
do that.
one.
Yeah, exactly. So he's so huge for these next 8 games.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely huge. But I mean, there's things about Ethan Ampadu that I really like, and there's things about Ethan Ampadu that drive me bananas. Ethan Ampadu spends way too long on the ball when he gets it. He likes to stop the game completely, put his foot on the ball and look up. And I've always said, there's always feels like there's a little bit of Hollywood about Ethan Ampadu. He wants people to see him on the ball, and I've got it now. Everyone stop, look at me. And he does this pointing thing every time he gets the ball. And I've never seen anyone react to the pointing. I've never seen anyone move positions or change because he's pointing on it. And for me, he slows Leeds down at times. But when it comes to reading attacking play, filling in gaps, covering defensive runs, sweeping him across the midfield, there's nobody better in the side than him at doing that. I'd like to shake him sometimes and go past the ball quicker, will you? If you're going to go 5 yards sideways, go 5 yards sideways now. Don't wait a minute and a half and then go 5 yards sideways. Move the ball quicker. But from a defensive perspective and from a leadership, and as you say, all the things about getting in players' ears, winding up the opponents, that's all important at this stage of the year because everyone's playing on the nerves at this point of the year. You have teams in the bottom half of the table trying not to lose to still avoid relegation. You have teams in the top half trying to get into the playoffs or trying to get an automatic spot. So everyone's playing on their nerves right now. So if you can have any kind of a mental advantage, you take it. And Ampadu offers that. Plus, he's a natural leader. And we don't have a huge amount of them. I think Strauch and Rodon do their jobs in different ways, but I think Ampadu's probably
I think Strauch's been really poor these last few weeks, Joe.
Really I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, that's fair, but I don't see that. I think he's had a couple of dodgy games this year, but in general, I think when he has been caught out, it's been 1v1 when he's been isolated, and that's a problem for centre halves in general. I would expect a striker or a 10 to run rings around the centre back with the ball at their feet 1-on-1. But I think I like Strauch. I think he's been fine for us, but every player's had bad games this year. We start singling them out for one bad game and then making an indictment of their season. Bogle was getting hung out to dry at the first half of the season. People weren't even willing to give him 6 games to settle in. They were talking about get rid of him. Do you know what I mean? Solomon got it as well. This reactionary stuff is just always a little bit over the top for me. I think over the course of the season, he's been fine for Leeds.
Don't disagree. I just think the last few weeks he's been poor.
That's no problem. Yeah, no issue. That's your opinion, Pound. You're completely entitled to that. But it was the same when Ethan Ampadu was in there with Rodon. Didn't have the greatest times either. There was moments where he was poor at the back as well. I mean, he got caught attacking 2 balls and left space and behind him, which we could see the goals from. So it's not been perfect, but we're just scrapping to get out of the championship. No one's going to be perfect every single game. What Leeds need between now and the end of the season is them all to have 7 out of 10s at least across the board. You look at QPR, there was a couple of players, Strauch against QPR for that game. Aaronson dropped below that, and that was the problem. You know, we need to make sure that this team is at least putting in every single one of them minimum of 7 out of 10 performances for the rest of the season. They should have the quality then to beat teams, but it's not going to be straightforward. It's not going to be easy. It was never going to be straightforward with Leeds. We were never going to win every single game and run away with the league. It just wasn't Leeds. It wasn't going to happen. But I would hope that we come back after this international break. We've got a couple of bodies back. Ampadu, whether Bamford has an impact or not, and he's fit, it's another body. Same with Max Ferber as well, like him or not, it's another body on the bench that can add something in the running. So it's just important that we make sure that everyone comes back from international duty fit and ready, and those that are injured are ready to go. And then it's a sprint to the end. Hold your nerve.
It is, yeah. Hold your nerve. How is it? Do you have enough? Do you have confidence that these lads can hold their nerve? Do you think the experience of last year will have helped a lot? I'm still confident, Joe. I think I look at our home games: Preston, Swansea, Stoke, and there's one more. Preston, Swansea, Stoke. There's one more. Someone let me know in the chat. But I am quite confident with them games coming up that we should have enough. I know Borough's away. There's a game, Bristol City, which might, on paper is quite difficult, but I think
second last game might make a difference.
Yeah, I think as well. That's the game. That's the Stoke game. But I think we have a fantastic record against Bristol City, so it doesn't concern me that much. But yeah. And in that time where we've got these home games, which I expect us to win, like you've mentioned already, Burnley, Coventry, Sheffield United, all these games yet to play. There's a lot going on, isn't there?
There is, yeah, and it's not always about us. Do you know what I mean? That's the point. Like, these teams are focused on themselves. If you look at the Sheffield United fan base, they're nervous enough about this as well. I mean, they're 2 points again, also ahead of Burnley, but they're looking at Burnley breathing down their neck. And Burnley have a better goal difference than Sheffield United have. So if this goes down to the wire and everyone finishes in the same points, Sheffield United go into the playoffs. Like, that's the reality of it. So they have a whole other set of problems. At least that goal difference has meant we stay top. That's the point of it, And the same with the draw against QPR might have been a shit result on paper, but that point made sure we stay top. Yeah. So these are important. So, I mean, if we get there's 4 home games left. What's that? 4, 8, 12, 16 points to put Leeds on 96 points. No, wouldn't. That's not right, is it? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
4 home games. Yeah. Put Leeds on 96. I mean, that should be enough, shouldn't it?
No, it won't be that. It'd be 12.
12 points. 12 points. Sorry, 12. 92, which still, I mean, pick up one result away from home. You should have enough to get up.
Should have, but should have.
We have to just.
Does it worry you that does it worry you that the Opta have gone from 90% to 80%? No. It's dropped 10%, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's based on averages over the amount of games. There's less games there now, and the point gap is smaller, so that would automatically. It's the same as the supercomputers, Joe. They're so super, they have to recalculate it every single week. Like, if they're so super, calculate it for the whole season and tell us what it's going to be. Point. And they keep changing as well. Opta stats around promotion percentages, supercomputers, I wouldn't read anything into that, because one result changes the whole thing.
Yeah, it does. It does. We've had a few comments, so let's go to the comments and see what people are saying. Did get a super chat from Reeves. Monday, 21st of April is home. Yeah, this is Easter weekend, Easter Monday, and when I work out my weeks and I put it in my calendar so I know where I'm supposed to be. But that I sort of picked that as a pivotal weekend, because if results go our way, we might have a gap, we might not do. But the fact that we play Stoke and them two play each other, we've only then a couple of games left, is absolutely massive. That Easter Monday. We know we've had bad Easters before when we dropped the ball against Wigan, for example. Easter's not always great for us, but that could be a biblical weekend, to be honest, Joe. That one.
Someone else's turn to bottle it at Easter, not us. Do you know what I mean? Like, the key line in Reese's comment there is, all we have to do is keep pace and beat Stoke.
Yeah.
So whatever happens between those two, if we just equal every other result that they get from now to the end of the season and have one better that weekend, we go up as champions.
Yeah. I know.
Sounds easier nowadays, though.
Yeah. It's scary. It's scary. Only Leeds Bros. Welcome, lads. It says, question, lads. What do you think is the reason for us looking a bit disjointed at the back in recent games? Yeah, it hasn't been its strong self. I think a lot of it is, and this could maybe come back to the manager as well, is the legs. Because for me, I don't see Bogle. He's nowhere near having the same impact he was a couple of weeks ago. Neither's James. So there's a lot down that right-hand side. I think Joe makes a good point in terms of Firpo and Solomon, because attacks for opponents start right at the other end, don't they? You know what I mean? So I could argue, Aaronson as well, playing in that 10, since he's dropped off, I think defensively we've dropped off. And I'm not saying but he plays a big part in that. I just think it's been a level drop, and I think the lads have been smashing out results week after week, and we've been flying. And it just comes to a point. And again, if Leeds United do what some of us fear they might do in terms of drop this and bottle it, then the manager will take a hell of a lot of criticism for beasting them. Because I don't mind the 11 he puts out, but I think in so many games, James has looked leggy with 20 minutes to go. He could have brought Ramazani on.
Easily. And that's the point. The quality is there on the bench this year. There's no reason to be flogging them.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know? I listen. People sometimes don't listen to what I say. Like, that is a massive criticism of the manager. Even when we win games, I'm like, but did he really need to play 94 minutes? I don't think so. I even think at the weekend, James staying on was the wrong. Solomon was playing better than Dan James. So why did he go? I get it. He's fast. Maybe he's like, if there's one attack, I want him running onto it because he's so pacey, which I get.
Yeah.
But there is also a case of we're battering these lads now. And my worry is as well, is like we now have 2 weeks off, Joe. Does he then think that's enough rest and recuperation and he goes to playing the same all the time? Do you know what I mean?
Farke has shown repeatedly over his career that he has favourites.
Yeah, do you remember we did that video last season after speaking with a Norwich fan who basically sort of confirmed.
We're seeing the exact same thing.
Same 11. Which
always what worries me about next, if we do get promoted, and that's another conversation, but if we do get promoted, that worries me for next season, because again, historically, his teams take 10, 11 games to get going. And if that happens in the Premier League, you're relegated. So, you know, he has markers that repeat themselves. And that's probably the biggest criticism I have of Daniel Farke, is that sometimes he just goes to form more often than he should. I completely agree, especially even against Millwall. It was points in that game where it's like just 60 minutes left in this. You could do it, freshen the wingers up at this point now, just to get an extra, if nothing else, fresh pair of legs running at tired defenders, you know. And he waits. There are times when I understand that I've played for managers who, and I've been on the bench at times, but on good sides with managers who basically you're sitting there going, it's 1-1 and I'm a striker and I'm sitting on the bench. Why am I not getting on the park? Like, surely he wants to bring on another striker, and they won't make any changes. And literally you'll hear them say, it's too tight to make a change. If I make a change now, it could go the other way. And right now we're doing enough to just at least get a point. And I think in the back of his head, he's like, it's fine as it is. If I change it, it could go the other way. And that leans to the more pragmatic side of Farke, or the more risk-averse side of Daniel Farke. And we know he is a very risk-averse manager. But this squad has been put together this year for more balance. Ramazani had a fantastic start to the season, has proven he's more than capable and good enough to play in this Leeds United side. Hasn't. Gnonto started well, went off form, but is very much looking like he's part of the furniture right now. He's celebrating with the players when they win games, even if he's not getting on. So the attitude's improved. So I don't know why he feels the need. I do understand with Dan James, he's probably thinking, yeah, he's not having a great game and he's being doubled up on. But if he gets one half chance here, we're in.
Yeah,
and that would definitely. Oh, he's overthinking that probably.
Yeah, and I get that. I do get it, Joe, because QPR have a free kick at the end of the game. If we get a counter attack, who do you want running onto it? It is Dan James, isn't it? That's the fact.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and and if he's not on the park, you're like, oh, why did you take James off? So he's kind of screwed if he doesn't, screwed if he doesn't. But like, there are points in it where you just go, trust your squad a bit more. Like last season, I defended him an awful lot when I said he didn't trust the bench. And if I looked at the bench, I was like, yeah, I get it. I don't trust it either. Maybe 3 players on that bench you'd play. The rest of them, no. This year, you look at that bench and you go, all of them can do a job. Even Gilavogi has proven this year, coming off the bench for 10 minutes to do a job in the middle of the park. He can do that. Yeah. Starting the game, it's a different thing for him. But that cameo has worked well with him as well. There's enough there to be able to rotate that squad at the right times to do it. But I think you're right. I think once he looks at the 2 weeks off, it's not really 2 weeks off. It's a week off, and then they're getting ready for a game the following week.
Yeah, true.
I would send Brendan Aaronson to a health spa and say, you're not to do anything for a week. I want you to just get massages and rub down now for a week.
I wanted to ask him, please chat, hear me here. This isn't me saying he should. It's a general question, and it's same to those. Like Mick says, keep starting Gnonto and let him shine for the final few games. We need that freshness up front. My concern, Joe, is you can play, let's say we play Gnonto, but structurally it's different. On the ball, off the ball, right?
Pressing specifically. changes.
Yeah. So with 8 games left to go, is that now the right tactic to be doing that? That's my concern.
Yeah.
Because
valid.
if it goes tits up for 45 against Swansea and we find ourselves 2-0 down like we did against QPR, we can't, and we're like, do you know what I mean? And that's where I think sometimes it isn't, for me, it's not just as easy as typing, play him, it'll get better, because I don't think it is as easy as that.
Yeah, but I would say, to Mick's point, I do completely understand where Mick is coming from. I see that. The worst with playing Aaronson isn't working. It isn't working right now, but it might start working. If you play Gnonto, does it work? Is it guaranteed? And come here, everyone's right and everyone's wrong. If that makes any kind of sense.
No, of course it does. Yeah.
Because this time last year, everyone was screaming that we need to start Mateo Joseph for the remainder of the season, and we were on this show saying, no, you don't, because if you do, it's not a guarantee. A cameo is different than a regular run of the team. Yeah, he started against Chelsea, but we've seen this season what that actually looks like. He wasn't ready, and people wanted to put him in as the guy, and then it would be on his shoulders to carry Leeds over the line. And when he didn't, it was his fault. And we've seen the people who wanted him in the team last year turn on him very quickly this year. So there's that part of it. It's slightly different with Willy Gnonto, because I think Willy Gnonto has the capability to play as a number 10. He plays there for the Italian under-21s, and he plays there very, very effectively for them. He scores goals and he gets assists, but he's a very different type of player. And that's the key point here of how Daniel Farke wants this team to play. The pressing is very important, and Aaronson does that really, really well. It's the one part of his game outside of taking a ball on a half turn that he's very, very good at. For all of his weaknesses, he does that very well and effectively for Leeds. Gnonto doesn't do it as well, but he does do it, but not to the same extent. But I think there is a point at this stage of saying Gnonto's at this level. There's no doubt that when Gnonto's on form,
he's a better footballer. He's a better footballer than Brendan. He's a better footballer.
100%, yeah. I think he's stronger as well. I think he can move better in tight spaces. But I also think it would be a shake-up for the opposition as well, that all of a sudden Leeds have a different profile of player in there, and it's something different, and now they have to deal with that, and you might get an advantage that way. There are merits to it, but I'm trying to remember back, but I think we had similar conversations in the relegation season about Brendan towards the back end of the season as well. He was just playing him every single minute and he wasn't doing anything. I think we're at that point now. And I think for me, even if it's only for a game or two, just take him out and give him a rest. Gnonto's more than capable of doing a job in there. And if he's not, play Rothwell there. You've got options. There are different options there if we need them. Joe Rothwell has proven, again, he can be very effective around the edge of the box, trying to find passes, switch to play, all that kind of stuff. So there's merit to it. I do see the merit in it. I agree with both sides of the argument. Like, if you take Aaronson out, well, what happens if that actually affects Leeds' pressing style? Yeah, completely valid. But if you take him out and put Gnonto in, you might get more goals. Yeah, absolutely, you might. And if you look at Brendan, up until 12 games, 13 games ago, he was at least contributing with goals and assists. And for all the talk about Gus Hamer, I think there's only 1 or 2 in the difference between G&A between the two of them this season, which isn't massive considering Gus Hamer's brilliant and Brendan Aaronson apparently is rubbish. So there's not an awful lot of difference there, but I think Leeds need to look at things differently because, as has been said in the chat, opposition are playing differently against Leeds. And we said this a while ago. Come the turn of the year, I said teams will stop playing low blocks and mid blocks against Leeds because teams at the bottom will have to start picking up points they didn't pick up earlier on the season. Teams at the top would need to come and have a go to guarantee themselves promotion. And all of a sudden the games would change. And we're seeing that. So I don't think there's any reason why Leeds can't change a couple of personnel just to give the opposition something else to think about. Because if I'm an opposition manager, I have a pretty good idea what team Daniel Farke is picking next week. And I have a pretty good idea how they're going to play.
Yeah. Would you, if you're a betting... See, I think he'll go with Gnonto. I think he'll play Gnonto against Swansea. You know?
He's talked about they're working on a different system.
Yeah.
Different style, which would mean that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Said he'd been working on it, hasn't he? Because, look, I still think it's a massive failure of the board to not go get him a 10, if you want my honest opinion. But
yeah, they should have done.
Yeah, they should have done.
But we also had everyone telling us this was the best squad in the league before the January transfer window. And what's changed? Why is the opinion changed?
Myself included. I just look at the impact Marcus Edwards has had at Burnley, for example. And listen, he's a quality player.
Cheat code.
Cheat code at this level. But look, it is what it is. We've got to go with what we got. And we should still go up. We still should win the league. You know, and I still think we will. Genuinely, if we came back and we lost against Swansea, then I'll shit myself. I just look at them home games and think, you know, Bristol, Preston, Stoke and Swansea. It's not even Stoke, but you get my point. We've got enough.
Yeah, I do.
You win them 4, we're not going to lose all our away games. We're just not. So win them home, get points away. It'll see us over the line. But the facts are, if we don't win, we're at a stage now, I feel, where we can't drop the ball anymore because, like you've said, Burnley are the most informed out of us all, bar Coventry. They're so good defensively. And like you've said, bringing Marcus Edwards in as occupied defenders, give more space to Brownhill, more space to Anthony, and now they're scoring goals for fun. Sheffield United are they are Chris Wilder. They are gritty. They are determined. They get through. And that's the worry. They don't play well, but they get results. So we can't afford to drop the ball anymore. And if we do, finishing third this season for us is failure of the highest order. I know it's like last season. I was like, it's all right, playoffs. This season we have to get top 2, Joe. We have to get top 2.
I'd say this. Myself and Darren from Only Leeds Bros talked about this last week as well. If Leeds get promoted in the automatic spots, it is fair that you give the manager that's got you there the opportunity to manage that team in the Premier League because he's done the job. And I would feel really pissed off if I didn't get that opportunity after bringing the team up. The job is get promoted. You get promoted automatically. Well done. However, if we finish third and go up, I would want a different manager next season because to me, it's a failure.
I don't think they'll do that though.
No, well, I don't know. If we drop off after being top of the league for so long and then fall back into the third place, it would look very similar to last year. And then you take the start and the end of our seasons where both of them have been wobbly for the last 2 seasons. By that middle block, they might want something more consistent. And I think finishing the top 2 is a failure.
If we finish third, we don't get promoted anyway.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But I think he goes there. And he's only got 12 months left on his contract at that point as well. So it's a cheap enough decision to make. He has to get automatic for me. He has to. The tools are there, regardless of the January window. I genuinely don't care about the January window. This squad didn't go from being the best squad in the league before Christmas to being the worst squad in the league after Christmas because we didn't sign any players. Marcus Edwards, cheat code. But at that point, you've Dan James, Manor Solomon, Ramazani, and Gnonto. Do you really need another winger? The 10 we wanted, we weren't going to get. We just couldn't get him. Went to Leverkusen instead, and he's not been great there. So it's and you look at what Sunderland did as well. They brought in Lafitte. What's happened? Lafitte got injured. So it's not a guarantee.
No.
Anyway, so this team is still good enough. I would like to see the tempo increase. And I know everyone's sick of hearing me talk about tempo because I'm banging on about it for the last 2 years. But this team is at its very best when they play fast football. When the ball is moved quickly back to front, this team is sensational. In the last couple of weeks, it has slowed right back down. We've seen that drop off in a couple of games where Leeds have started well early and then dropped off. And then we can't get going again. West Brom, Millwall. Well, start the Millwall game, we dropped off and you're like, Jesus, what's going on? And then Farke looked really pissed off going in at halftime in that game. And we came out like bats out of hell in the second half. So they got the riot act that night. So the tempo has to go up. The speed of Leeds play, the transition from back to front has to increase again because when it's there, this team is brilliant. When it's not, we're too easy to defend against.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. I know you said probably for the squad, it's good that we've got a break. I know some are on international duty, but for me, I don't want it, man. I want to just get this season done, man. So I know where you know what I mean? I know where we're at, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Yeah. But I think
no injuries, please.
Yeah, no injuries, exactly.
Firpo comes back injury, but I'll be pissed off at the club for letting them go to play friendlies. Yeah. And the fact that it's the weirdest. Who plays a friendly against the exact same team in a week?
Twice in 1 week. I mean, it just seems like and he's going to go and play in the number 10, so Leeds get no benefit from it anyway. He's not even playing this natural position for the club. So that's going to be a big problem for Leeds. If he comes back injured, then the club should have said, you're not going international duty to play a second friendly against Puerto Rico or whoever they're playing. Like, come on. Do you really need to be there? He's there Messi though, isn't he? So
he's only played 10 games for them though. But like that's the point. It's like there needs to be a bit of common sense here as well and just say, do you know what? If it's a World Cup qualifier, fine, fair enough. But this isn't. It's 2 friendlies against Puerto Rico. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, do you need to be there? And the pitches aren't going to be great. Do you need to be there? So if he comes back injured, I'll be pretty pissed off about that one. But this time last year, we came back from international duty. Rutter had a hernia operation. The Welsh lads had just been knocked out and Dan James missed a penalty. Their confidence level was in the toilet when they came back.
Yeah.
and the whole thing fell off a cliff. So if he can come back fine, Aaronson's not going away, which is probably a positive thing, I think, even just to have him around the place for the next 2 weeks. Tanaka is okay. He's shown he can go and come back and gel back in, but you'd hope a bit of common sense is used there as well. Play him in the first game, maybe even as a sub of the second game, let him go early, whatever. But this is a hugely important part of the season, and Leeds need to come back with a fresh bill of health and hope the other two come back with a couple of injuries.
Yeah, let's hope we remain injury-free. Looking ahead to the future, Tommy Gunn says, do you reckon we go big in the market promotion? We have to, don't we, Joe? We have to.
Ian Hart told me that the ownership have big pockets, and I'm assuming he knows a little bit more, he's got players at the club that he represents. He knows them, he speaks to them. So he said they've got big pockets. And I've heard anything from 150 million to 200 million being spent in the summer. If they get
I'm right in saying, I don't know how true this is, mate. You might be able to tell me more. But with the Rangers takeover, I did see that Leeds wouldn't be able to own
if
Rangers
they don't go up.
Leeds don't go up because EFL rulings state that they can't own.
In saying that Burnley have a minority stake in Dundee.
Okay, so they're out.
So it can be done. It can be done.
Right, okay.
But it's minority. So, and if you look at the Rangers deal, again, we won't find out till this is done, but no one's saying it's 49ers Enterprises buying over. They're saying it's Andrew Kavanagh, a pharma tycoon, and Parag Marathe.
Just them two.
Kavanagh's the leader of this. He's the main guy putting the money in, and Marathe's second on this. So it's not even fully clear if it's the Ford, or could just be a case of, well, we have to do it this way because Leeds are in a championship, and that could be
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, there are probably ways around it, aren't they? Until we, you know what it's like.
What did you make of Graham Souness saying that Leeds would be the feeder club for Rangers? I laughed when I heard it.
Oh, I didn't see that. No, is that what
he said last week that Leeds would because, and again, I had an argument with a Rangers fan online, which isn't hard to happen when you're an Irish person expressing an opinion about Rangers. It's likely to happen instantly, but basically, I said. One team in the Premier League brings in the financial TV revenue that every single team in the Scottish Premier League combined brings in. So from a financial revenue perspective, it makes zero sense that the bigger fish, which would be the financial side of it, Leeds, would be a feeder club for a team in the second team in a two-team league. And then the point was made, well, we're in Europe every year. I'm like, well, how is that up one top bus trip every year when you get knocked out in the qualifiers? You win nothing. You don't, so... Yeah, it would be the opposite way around. If anything, I'd say Leeds would be sending young players up to them to develop and get game time and then come back to Leeds or, test.
To be fair, Rangers, they are in the quarterfinal this time.
Of the Europa League?
Yeah.
Or is it the Conference League?
Europa League, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they finish. They win a fair play to them, by the way, because they'll be connected to Leeds right now, so it benefits both teams if they do well. But it just makes no sense from a financial perspective that you would use Leeds as the feeder club.
No, I agree with you. That's a load of codswallow. Yeah, it's not true, is it? And wouldn't happen. But yeah,
I'm not against the multi-club model, though. There's benefits to it. There's a lot of benefits to it.
Of course, everyone's doing it now, aren't they? Let's be honest. You've got a show. You've got a show coming up tonight for St. Paddy's Day, I believe. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, we're doing an Irish Leeds connection for the day that's in it for St. Patrick's Day. So 7:30, myself, only Leeds bros, Darren and Dillo, and Carl from Orton Know Better will be on to talk about the history of Irish players at Leeds United and the connection between the two. We're going to do a bit of our histories and supporting the club and where that came from. And then we've gone all the way back thanks to Andrew Stats Dalton, who won't be with us tonight, but has sent me over all of the statistics for the Irish players going back to the 1900s. So we've got the top 10 most appearances made for Leeds by an Irish player, top 10 goal scorers in the history of the club from an Irish perspective.
Can I guess? Am I allowed to or not? Is that going to ruin the show? I won't do it. Let's not.
I don't have to tell you the answer, but guess. Go have a guess. Most appearances is easy.
First one?
Most appearances for Leeds of an Irish player.
Johnny Giles.
Yeah. No, actually, you're wrong. No, but top goal scorer?
Johnny Giles.
John Giles, top goal scorer. Gary Kelly, most appearances.
Oh, Kelly, of course. Wow.
How
could I get that wrong?
Players. Yeah,
how much did he get? About 600, 700 appearances or something?
Kel's played 531 appearances. 15 of them were as a sub. Scored 4 goals during his time, and I remember every single one of those goals. Saw him make his debut against a League of Ireland representative side in Talca Park in Dublin when he came on wearing number 22 at right back, and no one had a clue who he was. And signed himself and Ian Hart both signed for Leeds from Drogheda, which is where I live. And both of them signed for Leeds as strikers, and both ended up playing fullback. Howard Wilkinson made the decision for both of them to go in as fullbacks.
Wow. The cousins are
cousins. Yeah, well, Gary's his uncle.
Uncle, right? Okay, that's it. Okay.
And Ian calls him Uncle Gary, and there's only a couple of years between them, but he calls him Uncle Gary. Yeah.
Yeah,
we were supposed to have Nicky Byrne on tonight as well, but he spoke to Stats a couple of weeks ago and was interested in getting involved in it, and we're going to talk about his connection with the club. But he replied to my email and then gave me his agent's detail, and his agent said she'd get back to me, never did. So we lost out.
She wanted some coinage, man. She wanted some coinage from Nicky Byrne.
She never asked. No.
He was a goalkeeper at Leeds, weren't he? He was a goalkeeper at Leeds.
He won the FAU Cup with that Leeds team. He was the goalkeeper of that really good Leeds United side that won the FAU Cup. Who were regulars of winning the FAU Cup at that point. But yeah, and then went off to be a singer.
Nice.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Just stood in background and stood up off chairs every now and again.
Yeah, key change. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a radio DJ over here now.
Brilliant, I love that. Well, listen, folks, there you go. You've got some more Leeds United content straight after this over on JUSTJOE channel. What time does it kick off, mate? 7 or quarter?
We're starting at 7:30.
7:30. Right. Okay. Make sure you go watch that. I'll be tuning in myself. So listen, go check out JUSTJOE Leeds United View. There we go.
Chat there. Thanks, Oliver.
Big up to Oliver. He's always doing that. JUSTJOE, thanks very much for coming on. And enjoy the rest of your evening and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, happy Paddy's Day.
Yeah, there's loads of fake Irish in England that celebrate it. The mad thing is, St. Paddy's Day in England gets celebrated by more fake Irish people than does St. George's Day. So they'll go, my granddad's mother's brother's Irish, so therefore I'm out for St. Paddy's Day, and I'm like,
we're everywhere. There's bits of Irish people.
No, genuinely, some of them. Like, I'm like,
tell you what,
you're not the liar, really. You're just lying. You just want to go out and get pissed. Like,
the amount of times people go, Happy St. Patty's Day, and we're like, well, you're not Irish if you're calling it Patty's Day because it's Paddy's Day. Paddy's. And then the horror show of making pints of Guinness green, you should be arrested for doing that. And if you can't pull a pint of Guinness properly, leave it alone. Don't do it. Let the Irish person come behind the bar. They'll know how to do it.
Do you know? I obviously I try not to drink, but I had a drink on my mum's funeral, naturally, as you'd imagine, and that is the first time I had a Guinness ever. And I'm 37, and do you know what? I drank it all night. It was bloody gorgeous.
It's lovely, yeah. It's definitely a drink that changes as you get older. When I was young, hated it. Absolutely hated it. Now I drink it. That's my drink of choice.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. Honestly, it was nice. So, yeah. Anyway, we're chuntering on now, folks. Make sure you go check out that video that's on at 7:30. Thanks for watching this, and we'll see you in a bit. Bye, folks.
See you, bye.